Please video like and subscribe this channel. The Grand Hall of the Lemurian Citadel had never seen a human before. Its crystalline spires gleamed like frozen starlight, and the air hummed with energy fields designed to amplify thought and presence. At its center sat the alien Queen Valyra, her form taller than any human could comprehend, her skin a living spectrum of shifting color, and her eyes glowing with millennia of wisdom and caution. I stood before her in full armor, each plate etched with the scars and dents of countless battles. Humans rarely faced aliens in diplomacy unarmed, and I had long since learned that even a gesture of openness could be misread. But today, diplomacy was no longer enough. I had been summoned here, not for negotiation, but for observation and perhaps, unknowingly, judgment. The hall was silent. The usual courtiers, advisors, and guards kept their distance, bowing when the Queen's gaze fell upon me. Valyra tilted her head, studying me with an intensity one had never felt from another being. I could feel her mind probing the aura around my armor, sensing the energy stored within, and perhaps the echoes of pain it had endured. "Remove it," she finally said, her voice a low hum that resonated within the walls. "I wish to see what your battles have made of you." I hesitated. Armor was not just protection, it was identity. Every dent, every scratch told a story of survival, of enemies faced and lost, of comrade fallen beside me in worlds humans had fought and aliens had never stepped foot upon. To remove it was to reveal not just flesh, but the testament of humanity's persistence. And yet, there was no choice. The Queen had ordered, and here, among beings whose power could erase my entire species in an instant, disobedience was unthinkable. Slowly, I lifted the helmet. The cool air of the hall washed over my face. My jawline was scarred, a deep ridge from a plasma burn that had seared through protective layers. My left eye bore a faint metallic implant where the original had been shattered on a battlefield orbiting the planet Cytherian 3. The Queen's gaze locked on me, and for the first time, I saw hesitation ripple across her features. I began unfastening the armor, plate by plate. Each section revealed more evidence of survival, deep gashes through reinforced underlayers, scorched metal embedded in the plating, and beneath all that, the human flesh marked with cuts, burns, and the faint but persistent lines of muscles honed through decades of combat. My torso bore the heaviest damage. A recent skirmish with the Xerithian raiders had left me nearly dead, saved only by instinct and sheer endurance. The courtiers gasped as each section of armor fell away. Even seasoned alien warriors who had fought in galactic wars seemed to recoil at the sight of my wounds. And Valyra, she froze entirely. Her usual shifting colors dulled to a muted grey-blue, a visual signal of shock and confusion in her species. She had heard stories of human resilience, of course. The galaxy had circulated rumors. Humans could survive extremes that would kill other species, endure conditions that would break entire regiments, yet here was proof undeniable and raw. "Your species, how?" she murmured, her voice trembling slightly. "You should be, no, you cannot survive what you have faced." I met her gaze steadily, refusing to flinch. "We do," I said simply. "Not because we are stronger than other species, or faster, or more numerous. We survive because we refuse to surrender." Valyra's eyes, luminous as twin moons, narrowed. She stepped closer, the air around her charged with latent power. I felt the energy resonate against my body, as if testing the integrity of flesh and will. "Each scar," she whispered. "It is testimony, not injury. You are marked by death, yet you live." "How?" I exhaled slowly, remembering the countless planets, the fallen comrades, the battles where death hovered over us like a predator circling prey. Because every battle, every loss, taught us to endure. Every wound reminds us that survival is more than armor or weapons. It is choice. It is persistence. And sometimes, luck. I let my gaze wander across the hall. And humans have always chosen to continue. The Queen's silence deepened. She did not respond immediately, instead studying the wounds as if trying to discern a pattern, a meaning hidden beneath the chaos of battle. Finally, she spoke, her voice a mixture of awe and disbelief. "You're kind. You are not like any I have encountered. And yet, you have faced horrors that would make even my finest warriors falter." I inclined my head. "Horror is relative. We do what we must. That is how we endure." Valyra turned, signaling her advisors to step back. "Enough," she said. "Let us speak as equals, then. Tell me, human, what do these wounds mean? Are they badges of pride? Or reminders of failure?" I considered her question carefully. "They are both. They remind me of what was lost, and what we survived. They are warnings, and yet proof that survival is possible even in the most impossible circumstances." For the first time, the Queen's form shifted in color and intensity. A gesture of contemplation in her species. She studied me for a long moment. Then, as if reaching a conclusion, she knelt slightly, a sign of profound respect among her people. "You have made warriors of your kind known across the stars. And yet, none of us truly understood the cost, until now." Her words were deliberate, resonating with meaning. "Your scars, they speak a language I cannot fully comprehend. And yet, I understand them. You have endured more than I ever imagined possible." I allowed myself a small nod. The armor was gone, the vulnerability total, yet in that silence, a mutual recognition had formed. She saw my battles, yes, but more importantly, she saw the will that endured them. And I saw her acknowledgement not just as a ruler, but as a being who had understood the measure of human persistence. Then came the unexpected. Valyra reached out, lightly touching the edge of my shoulder where the metal plates had once protected me. A shock ran through me, not of electricity, but of recognition. In her culture, touching the unarmored body of a warrior was a sacred act, signaling acceptance and respect for what had been endured. It was a gesture few were permitted, reserved for those whose courage was undeniable. "You have changed my perception," she whispered. "I once thought humans were fragile, expendable. I was wrong. You're kind. You survive because you endure what others cannot even imagine. And that endurance, it commands respect." Around us, the courtiers and guards had grown quiet. Whispers began to ripple through the hall, but they were subdued by the sheer presence of the Queen's declaration. Silence fell again, more profound than before, because the acknowledgement was not for a ceremonial display, it was truth. Even the most accomplished warriors among her advisors recognized it. "Your armor hid nothing," Valyra said softly, almost to herself. "And yet, everything is visible now. Not the metal. Not the weapons. Only the proof of life against impossible odds." I breathed steadily, knowing the encounter would not end here. The Queen had granted recognition, yes, but she had also silently challenged humanity to live up to the image she now held of us. "I am only one human," I said. "There are many like me. Each carries scars. Each survives." She paused, her gaze intense, then smiled faintly, a gesture rare among her people, and yet universally understood. "Then the galaxy has underestimated humans, for too long." For the rest of the meeting, we spoke not as alien and human, but as warriors who understood the cost of survival. I recounted battles on frozen moons where oxygen was scarce, deserts scorched by suns long dead, and cities that had fallen under the weight of alien sieges. Every tale was met with careful consideration, sometimes disbelief, and always respect. By the time I departed, the armor had long been replaced by simple clothing for comfort, yet the impression remained. Valyra did not ask me to hide the scars. She did not demand concealment. Instead, she had witnessed the human truth: endurance is the greatest armor of all. As I left the Citadel, I glanced back once. The alien queen remained at her dais, her form shifting colors in thought, contemplating not what I was, but what humanity represented. And for the first time, I realized that survival, not conquest, not power, not weapons, was what truly commanded or across the stars. The scars beneath my armor had spoken. And the galaxy, at least one of its greatest rulers, had finally listened. End.